Well, it's been another week, and there's been some things that have happened, and we are back for another episode of the Nation80 podcast. Mike, what's going on?
What's going on, Rodney? Yeah, we're back for, I'm going to say this correctly now because I didn't say it correctly last time. Episode 14.
Yes.
I think last episode I said episode 12.
You did. And I caught it in post, and I was like, ooh, awkward.
Ooh, awkward. Yeah. Well, when I was editing the video, I was like, oh, crap. So episode 14, back at it. We're at the end. We've gone through April, Rodney. Mm-hmm. And you know what I haven't gotten yet?
Your Steam Deck reservation.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've gotten plenty of emails from Steam.
Yeah.
And they've all been, hey, guess this wish list thing that you have is on sale now.
Yeah.
But I don't have anything yet. So here's to the month of May, I guess. And
hey, I'm protesting anything else on Steam until they give me what I need, right? I'm literally scratching my neck every day so I can get this thing. But I am hopeful, at least for you, for me, because like I told you, I got mine. I did my reservation a couple hours after you. Mm-hmm. So I'm hoping at least for you, May, because then that kind of gives me an idea of my timeline is coming. I will be upset if, because I'm coming to come visit you and family in June. There'll be nothing worse if I'm there hanging out with you guys and I get the reservation saying, hey, are you ready to buy now? I'm going to be like, you sons of bitches.
Oh, God. Yeah, it's very, like, this whole month has been like it's been an exercise of checking email, checking the promotions box, checking the spam. Do I still have Yahoo? Is it going to my Yahoo email? Checking my Yahoo email, checking the spam, checking the promotions folder, going onto the website just to make sure there's no notifications on the website for my account on Steam. And and there are times where I like freak out. I'm like, oh my God, it's been a couple of days since I checked my email. Oh no. No, there's just nothing on there. So
from my understanding, looking at Twitter, they send out emails every Monday and Thursday now. So there's something to think about so that you don't freak out. So I would say you're pretty safe if you check Tuesday and Friday, right? Because you got 3 days to pay for it. But I know how it goes still, when the anticipation for something goes on, just like when San Diego came around, you almost want to push refresh all the time for the convention tickets. The same thing goes with Steam Deck, right? So before we get started, I just want to give a big thank you to the podcast Hablando de Miel. I was a guest on their podcast yesterday, and if you don't know, the title translates to talking ish, right? So we sat there and had some comic book talk yesterday. I got to speak to a good friend of mine, Louise, from my time. And I met him in Qatar, and we got to, chop it up again. I also got to get introduced to his childhood friends of Tone and Gary. And we all had a good time just talking comics. Can't wait to go back and talk on some hip hop or some sports, a whole bunch of cool stuff. So if you get an opportunity, and we'll put it in the description, go check out their podcast. They do a lot of stuff compared to us, they record live. So they were on Facebook Live yesterday. I don't know when they'll put on YouTube, but you can also find them on Apple Podcasts and stuff like that. Okay. But that also being said, the Nation80 site, and I'm going to start taking these little small victories. We now have 17 subscribers compared to having 12 previously.
All right.
So it just tells me my procrastinating ass needs to start promoting more, right? I'm always have a bit of an insecurity when recording these podcasts and then kind of putting it out there. And I'm working to get over that. So like last week, our last episode, I put that out there to all my friends on social media and told more people. And so it was cool to get some responses back and hear people say that, oh, that's dope. And then we also got some subscribers from it. So super excited to keep on pushing forward on that. So click subscribe, like, send us a review. I will get us up on our podcast channels very soon because, yeah, we need to hit that
Yeah, for sure.
expeditiously.
So
Yeah,
this is
absolutely.
a you said the name of it. I know it's in Spanish, but
Mm-hmm.
it's Talking Ish in Spanish.
Yep.
And this is something that's on. You said it's on Facebook and on Apple Podcasts.
Yeah. And they do have a YouTube page, but they update that a little bit later.
Okay.
Kind of like how we do with our episodes. We might record one day and then they bring it out a couple days later.
Okay. Yeah, we'll have to
Hmm.
put that in the description.
Yeah. So, and we will eventually, when the time presents itself, we'll get them to also come and be guests on ours, and talk some ish.
All right. Yeah, no doubt, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess we should get into let's get into our first let's say topic today, right? And it's been reported, and I'm gonna go a different route with this one, right? I'm gonna go more speculation than I guess a bit of negativity, right? Because we could talk all day negative about this particular subject, but I'm going to attempt to look on the bright side, right? And I'm talking about that a lot of the Arrowverse shows are now being canceled from CW. So recently, it's been announced that uh, after the success of superhero shows like The Arrow, the CW quickly began expanding the franchise to include a number of other shows based on DC superheroes. And this is according to ScreenGeek.com. The various shows connected together to build what we call the Arrowverse by fans. Unfortunately, it looks like the Arrowverse could be shrinking down considerably in the near future. According to a new report, the CW will be canceling 2 of its Arrowverse shows. Furthermore, the CW is in the midst of being put on sale by Warner Media and Paramount. So things definitely aren't panning out well for the Arrowverse. The news about the CW canceling 2 of its Arrowverse shows comes via Deadline. They revealed that only half of the 4 shows the CW is considering renewing have an opportunity to continue. So as of right now, the 2 shows that they decided to let go is Legends of Tomorrow and Batwoman. And the only shows after that that are left are Naomi, and then I guess they're considering a pilot for DC's Gotham Knights. So as you can see, there's only 2 shows left when it comes to the Arrowverse. So there's been some speculation that a lot of DC, they're shutting, just like Marvel did, they're shutting down shows with other companies and bringing all of DC back to HBO Max. And so when you think of it that way, I'm kind of totally fine with that. It's been a while since I've watched the Arrowverse show, since Arrow and The Flash, for that matter. As a matter of fact, I think they didn't mention it here, but Naomi and Flash is still going. It's not canceled, from my understanding. So it seems like DC is just ready to rein everything back over, which to me is fine. And Mike, me and you talked about it a couple weeks ago. Warner, I guess it's Warner Discovery, has been trying to do this whole, reboot, if you would say, of DC and try to get them back in line. And I think, this might also be the start of that as well. What do you think?
Yeah. It's actually, as I was reading this article, it's actually kind of surprising to me, at least as far as League of Legends or League Legends of Tomorrow. It's 7 seasons it's been on.
Yeah.
I never in my wildest world would have thought that would have lasted more than a season or 2. Now, keep in mind, I've never watched this show, but to me, when it first came out, I was kind of looking at it at the point of view of like, okay, this is where they're putting all their like B-rated, characters from the
Mm-hmm.
Arrowverse show, whether it be Flash or Arrow, and then of course Brandon Routh, I knew was in it, and I keep thinking like, oh, Brandon Routh, oh right, the failed Superman. So I honestly didn't think this was gonna last, more than a couple of seasons, and to see that it got to 7 seasons is a pretty amazing thing. And so I'm surprised about that. Batwoman, I'm not so surprised about. I tried to watch it. I tried to give it a chance, but it was just it just was not that good of a show to me. And then
Out of
with
curiosity, which one did you watch? The Ruby Rose version
so
or the
both,
one with okay.
yeah. And so I wasn't too crazy about the character change. I understand there were real world um issues for why it happened.
Mm-hmm.
Uh but I wasn't too crazy about it, and not because of the character or the actor or actress, but just the way that they did the story. And so I don't know. I just wasn't. I was really hyped for the show when it initially came out. I was even kind of hyped when they brought in the second Batwoman. Um, but I think the way the story ended up panning out, I didn't really care for it. And really, to be honest, and you had mentioned this before about superhero fatigue and especially like in the Marvel movies.
Mm-hmm.
I think I got that fatigue from the TV shows because I really only had initially watched Arrow, and then I started to watch Flash, and then like there was this explosion in TV shows, the spinoffs for the Arrowverse, and I tried to give them a chance, but there was just too many of them, and then I got lost with Arrow and what was going on there. And then I got lost with Flash and what was going on in there. Not that they were bad shows or anything; they were good, at least from what I saw. But they had so many shows come out, and then they started mixing in the like they brought Supergirl into the Arrowverse, and so I
Yeah.
tried to start watching that because initially I didn't even watch that when it came out. It wasn't even on the same network.
Yeah, because it was on
Um,
CBS at the time, and then
yeah, yeah,
after one season, and then it bounced to CW.
right. And so I tried to give it a chance, and it had potential, but I just didn't really care for that one either. And then,
Mm-hmm.
so I still kind of want to see the Superman and Clark, or Lois and Clark, or Superman and Lois
Mm-hmm.
TV show. But then part of me is just like, I just don't know if I'll have time to. Like, it was just so much, and
I don't know how
uh,
many episodes they do, but I think they do more than your standard 12 as well.
oh yeah, for sure they do. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's not like a Disney, you know, edition. Shows like the Disney shows. You're lucky probably even to get to 12 on some of their shows. Um, but as far as CW goes, I think you might be actually looking at your standard 24 2024 episode season. And so uh yeah, I'm not so surprised as far as, I guess, them what the overall strategy is. Yeah, I probably have to agree with you, Rodney. It seems like they're trying to, what's the right word? I don't know, consolidate and move things over. I'm not really
Mm-hmm.
sure, but that's what it kind of seems like they're doing. So um, I think maybe when they do that, if they do that, I might be more inclined to check some of the stuff up, because eventually I would like to go back and watch these shows. But just right now, it just hasn't grabbed me. It really hasn't, and I maybe that is because their seasons run so long. Uh,
Well, I just looked. So there's at least I'm looking at just Batwoman here. Batwoman was 13 episodes this season, right? Um, and I was going to say I'm under the impression too. Well, the other issue is CW shows have a CW flair to them, right?
Correct. Yeah, there's a
And
look to it that
yeah, there's a
it's a CW show.
yeah, absolutely. No matter what the title is, it keeps that template. And I think that's the other problem with these shows, at least, right? I'm not going to make the comparison here because I don't want it to try to think it needs to compare to something else. But from any show that I've ever seen, we could say Dawson's Creek to the DC shows to the Hundreds, which was even a good show,
Oh yeah, for
to
sure.
even iZombie, they
Yep.
all had the CW flair,
Yeah,
right?
Supernatural, like they've all
Mm-hmm.
got that look to it that you're like, this is a CW show. And like you said, no matter what type of show it is,
Yep.
if this show were to, you know, uh have like HBO come up before it, and then you watch it, you're like, are you sure this is HBO? Because this
Yep.
looks like a CW show.
Yep. Yep. And matter of fact, it gets to the point that you say this feels more like a CW show if you see it somewhere else other than on the CW.
Right.
Right. So I think that's partially another part of the problem with it, right? Is that however they write it, however they do it in the Arrowverse, or well, not even the Arrowverse, but just on that network, it doesn't have the flair. Because even if you look at it like looking back now, looking at like Titans and Doom Patrol, that doesn't feel like CW shows, right?
Right.
You might say the costumes might make it feel like the CW show due to, lack of budget, things of that nature. But still, the writing for at least those two shows don't feel CW-ish at all,
Right.
right? So you can tell there's a contrast there when it comes to that. So um, I eventually feel that as DC Discovery comes out, well, excuse me, Warner Discovery comes out with their overall plan, all those shows on CW will get canceled. And then maybe some of them will, after a year or two, get a reboot, or we'll see the grand scope of things, how they do. And to be honest, I really hope that they just can find their pocket and be successful. That's what I really want, right?
Right.
Is
Right.
that, whatever they decide to do TV movie wise, that it's given like the team gives it its undivided attention and they don't deviate from it. You know, I do like some of the singular movies that they have brought out, but we talked about it before. Just the overall confusion of all of it makes it a bit hard. But I kind of understand as I sit here and say that, because everything's so enveloped in Marvel that you couldn't make a standalone Marvel movie away from all the other stuff that's going on, right? If you just wanted to tell a particular story,
Mm-hmm.
right, of who knows, like let's say Miracle Man be a great example. I think Marvel owns Miracle Man these days, and let's say they wanted to make a standalone Marvel show about just Miracle Man without anything else in the MCU, just because of the fact that the MCU name is so strong. Everyone would assume, okay, when is these characters going to pop up in Miracle Man, right? Yeah, so I think I do understand that part, because DC has a lot of properties like The Watchmen that you don't necessarily should see Batman, Aquaman, or any of them in it,
Right.
right? I don't know. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I mean, I don't, I think with Marvel and Disney, you expect every show to be connected and every movie to be connected to everything. And that's how Marvel has gone with this. This is what we're in right now. We're in the multiverse. Um, and so now we've got properties from Sony coming, in. We've got X-Men coming in. We've got Fantastic Four coming in, and not just new iterations of these IPs, but previous iterations. We already know we're getting Professor Xavier. And I believe we're getting Reed Richards from the old Fantastic Four movies, and so uh, people expect to see that from Marvel. And I think with DC, like you said, I mean, you've got the Arrowverse, and there's 8 shows within the Arrowverse, and none of them tie into any of the DC cinematic universe. And then you have the HBO, I guess, original movies, or really it was the DC the DC Universe website had their shows, so Titans and Young Justice and all that, and none of those are going to tie into the movie. So none of this ties into each other. And then you do have your standalone movies like Joker, and then presumably, at least for now, the Batman, and some of the other ones, the Watchmen. You're not going to see the Justice League enter into the Watchmen. Even though they did in the comics, uh, you're not going to see that, at least as far as I know, and I doubt we'll see that. And so, yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think DC is just, I think it'll be good for them to move to this new platform where they consolidate everything into one thing. And they don't necessarily need to mix it up and be like, okay, this is all interconnected. These are just, I the way I kind of look at it now is, this is all just different interpretations. These are like not like the Marvel what ifs. I know DC has their own version of it. I can't think of what the name is, but
Mm-hmm.
it's just DC's, they've got, I don't necessarily want to see the Young Justice universe mixed in with any of the other properties. I don't want to necessarily see Titans mixed in with the other properties or with Arrowverse, and just give me good content to watch, and make it be quality. I don't
Mm-hmm.
expect anything else other than that. Marvel, we know Marvel has there's a whole web around the storyline for Marvel, and everything is connected, and that's kind of the allure, is looking at a movie or a TV show and trying to find the little pieces that connect to whatever the overall story is going to be. That's the fun of watching the Marvel stuff. uh Warner Brothers and DC tried to do that initially, and it's just turned into a huge mess. So I'm more of just go for the separate stuff. If you're going to put the Arrowverse into its own contained universe and have it be that way, cool. I'm down with that. Put it consolidated, move it to a new platform, uh, and then so that we can all watch it, and if they can. Uh, and really, if they could get even more money to really flesh out some of these stories, who's to say Batwoman doesn't come back? Batwoman,
Mm-hmm.
like Supergirl, I thought both had a lot of potential, but I think because of budget and, like you said, that CW, I don't want to say stigma, but that look, um,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I think that kind of wards off, some creatives, whether it be directors or writers or actors. Uh, but I think
Shoot, I
because
even
of,
think about Black Lightning now. Black Lightning was kind of cool, but it had that same CW feel to it.
yeah,
And
yeah,
it was great to see it, the representation, but CW is CW,
yeah. Well,
unfortunately.
and look what Marvel did with Daredevil and Kingpin, and bringing them into the MCU. Because they, for all intents and purposes, weren't a part of the MCU, other
Hmm.
than maybe I think maybe the first couple of episodes of Daredevil, they might have mentioned the MCU, but they never mentioned the MCU after that.
Yeah.
And so now you bring them over so that you have them in their own separate universe. And now you bring them over to Disney, and they found a way to incorporate that into their new shows and their new movies. And it was a fresh look, and it was nice. So maybe you can do something like that, not to the point what Marvel and DC did, but inject some fresh life into some of these shows. Like, I would love to see them do Black Lightning and a fresh view, with a
Hmm.
newer budget, and see what they can do with that. Same thing with Batwoman. Same thing with Supergirl. I think all of those had really good potential. I also forgot Stargirl's another one.
Oh yeah, yeah,
uh,
yeah.
I
Stargirl
did.
and Swamp Thing.
Yeah, I didn't even give Stargirl a chance. I was like, "Ugh, I don't know." But you can interject some new life into those shows if you bring them over to a new platform, and I think as long as you just do it contained and not try to make your own web of stories, where you feel like you have to, connect them all together, I think, like you said, there could be some success there, and I would like to see that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And you know what? Since we're sitting here, we were talking about CW, and Mike, you kind of mentioned a couple things. One of them being the Fantastic Four. Before we get to the Fantastic Four, let's talk about something that you've been super excited about. So last week, CinemaCon took place. And during CinemaCon, a whole lot of footage was shown for upcoming movies. So, we have the ones that we already know about, like Doctor Strange, but we also have Top Gun Maverick, which is slated to come out May 27th. Another one that's a couple of the highlights on the list: Jurassic World Dominion coming out June 10th, Lightyear coming out June 17th. We have an Elvis movie, which someone likes.
Yeah,
Minions: The Rise of Gru, July 1st. Jordan Peele's Nope, July 22nd. Brad Pitt comes back with Bullet Train July 29th.
Oh yeah.
We have The Woman King, and I'm only looking at the picture here, September 16th. And I know they also talked about a Barbie movie, a Halloween movie, but another one that hit was Black Adam, which is scheduled for October 21st, right? Where they finally got to see some footage of him, and we got a whole lot more than we did during the Super Bowl. And I don't have much to say on this other than let's stop messing around and put that trailer out. This movie has been like 10 years in the making. I'm like, come on, let's get this done. Right. One other notable is Avatar: The Way of the Water, December 16th. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, March 17th, 2023. And John Wick Chapter 4, March 24, 2023. And Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, June 2nd, 2023. And The Flash, I don't know, that movie's still going to get made. Well, I'm sure that movie's damn near done, but if Ezra Miller and his legal issues don't let up, that's going to be a problem.
Is he still on the island?
I think he actually lives here. I think he has a home here.
Oh,
but he doesn't live on my island. He lives on another island, which is, yeah. Anyway, so Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1, July 14th, 2023. So we got a lot of movies, and a lot of them that I'm super excited about here. But kind of going off the list of movies here, Black Adam has really given me this level of excitement just because I want to finally see what they put on paper, right?
Right.
And I know it catches a lot of flack these days, but I won't lie to you. I'm also excited to see what this next Avatar movie looks like, right? And the reason I say that is because James Cameron, as much as I heard he's an asshole on set and all these other things, he brings so much technology to every movie he does. And I remember when Avatar first came out, that everybody was like, I don't know if I want to watch this movie about some blue aliens. But the technology that went behind it and what I saw in the cinema was by far one of the most amazing cinema experiences I ever had in a theater.
For sure.
Right. Especially if you went there, IMAX, 3D, if you did the whole shebang, the experience that Avatar gave you is amazing. And for those who have a good high definition television, the visuals still look amazing when the family puts it on from time to time for how old that movie is.
Oh yeah, that movie has aged very well.
Absolutely, right? It has its flaws like any movie does, but I'm really excited to see what James Cameron is bringing. And he did this in 3 back to back, from my understanding. Yes. But with the technology that James Cameron always infuses his pictures with, like what he brought to Terminator was so groundbreaking. What he did with Titanic, whether you liked it or not, was groundbreaking. The first Avatar, groundbreaking. So really excited to see what comes from that. Mike, how excited are you for Top Gun Maverick?
Oh man, that's kind of a coin toss for me. Top Gun was supposed to come out before the shutdown happened, and it didn't, and understandably so. But once everything started opening up again, it kept getting delayed and pushed back. Not sure why. Not sure if they're just hoping to make sure that people were really back in the movie theaters to kind of capitalize on as much money as they can. But I'm so huge into Top Gun. Top Gun was huge for me as a kid, and I've been waiting for this movie to come out for over damn near 30 years. It's like Star Wars, right? You had Return of the Jedi come out, and sure you had Clone Wars and all the other ones that came out after that. But when the new trilogy of Star Wars movies came out, I was so excited because I was like, finally, we're gonna get something that is gonna be amazing. And initially when I saw these movies, I was like, yes. And then when I watched them again and again, and I started to really think about it, I was like, these movies weren't as good as I thought they were. And so I'm looking at it like Top Gun. I'm excited to see Top Gun, especially with what they've done cinematography wise. The kind of visuals that they're pulling off, the kind of camera angles that they're pulling off is going to be unlike anything we've ever seen. And all the actors are going to be in actual planes flying. And I should say flying, but they'll be the co-pilot in the plane, but it'll look like they're flying. And it's going to look pretty legit. In fact, there's a scene, allegedly, there's a scene where Tom Cruise is flying a P-51, and it's actually him, which is cool. So
that sounds about right for him.
yeah,
Just for extreme as a person I know him to be, that
yeah.
sounds about right for him.
And what makes Tom Cruise watchable, as crazy as he is with the whole Scientology thing, uh, I I will always look at Tom Cruise as one of the top, if not the top, action star for me, because not only does his action look good, but he does all his own action. Okay. We think about that first Mission Impossible movie when he's climbing the rock face and he does that like that cross and his back is facing the rock face. That's him. That's all him.
Hmm.
When
That
he's
was him
jumping
climbing the
onto,
Burj Khalifa in that other Mission Impossible. A
yeah,
couple,
or when they
yeah.
had him strapped to a plane as it's taking off, that's all him. You know.
Hmm.
Um, and so he brings a level of training and detail to his movies that make it real believable, especially for a guy that's like 5'4", 5'5". You
You know,
know,
he makes me think of those early Jackie Chan movies, right?
yeah, yeah,
Because we knew that Jackie Chan was taking all those hits
yep,
and
yep.
glasses being thrown at him, and that's what was the allure.
Oh
And
yeah,
I think that's what happens with Tom Cruise, right? Like we talked about this a couple weeks back, Mike, but the only reason that Jack Reacher made it to the screen was due to him, and he made that first one pretty believable,
yeah, for
right?
sure.
Of course, now that I know what I know about the history of Reacher,
Yes,
it's a little different, but
yes,
still, Tom Cruise brought something to that movie that helped elevate that movie for its time.
yeah. So I'm
So,
I'm excited for it, but I'm also nervous because I'm so hyped about it. This isn't a movie that I'm going to watch on day one. I'll let my friend watch it and see what because he's probably a bigger Top Gun fan than I am, and I'll let him give me the okay. Is it worth it, or should I just wait for it to come out on streaming? So,
sure.
because I don't want to be disappointed. I'm also nervous that they're going to kill off Maverick at the end. Um, and I don't want to see that happen.
Mhm.
So because we're in these last few decades where we've gotten in this mode where we make all these hero movies and especially military movies, and the main protagonist always dies, sacrificing himself in the end. I was like, God damn it!
Yeah.
Can one brother survive or something, man? Come on,
So,
let
are
there
they
be a
trying to
little bit of
continue
hope.
the series just without Tom Cruise?
I have no idea. I have no
Mm.
idea. I know that the guy that played Goose in the first movie. So his weapons officer, his son is in the movie and he's an actual pilot. He's not a weapons officer. Um, so he's an actual pilot. So I know there's some beef there with Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise's Maverick. I know Val Kilmer is going to be in the movie, which I don't know how that's possible because he's got throat cancer.
Hmm.
And then Liv Tyler is going to play Tom Cruise's love interest, um, which Tom Cruise has aged well, but he hasn't aged that well. And so part of me is like, it's weird because both of us grew up in the military. Top Gun came out what late '80s, early '90s,
Hmm.
um, and now 30 years later, we're doing another Top Gun movie, and we're to believe that Maverick's been in the Navy for 30 years and and still flying. Nah, okay.
Even as a general,
Even as it,
he would
yeah,
he'd be retired. So,
right. Yeah. So I don't know. So I'm excited for the movie. Um, I'm just not gonna watch it in the movie theaters on opening weekend.
mm,
Um, Jurassic World. I kind of look at Jurassic World like I look at Fast and the Furious. I
hmm.
mean, it's just another Jurassic World movie. I I don't watch Fast and Furious anymore. I will watch Jurassic World again. I don't think I'll go opening weekend.
No.
Lightyear, I'll see opening weekend. Minions, I'll see opening weekend. Um, Bullet Train is interesting to me. We haven't seen Brad Pitt in that kind of role lately. And so he's gotten older, of course, but if anything, Keanu has proved that it doesn't matter how old you are, as long as you're fit and you got a good fight coordinator,
You're good.
you're good. And I
Well, I'll
think
put it like this. My wife doesn't want to see Brad Pitt in anything else until he lives up to the promise of the next World War Z movie. Because my wife loved World War Z, and there's nothing worse than seeing him say, "Hey, I'm about to bring this movie out," and it ain't World War Z.
Right.
So
yeah, no, I'm interested with this one. I may or may not go see this one the opening day. Black Adam. Again, I'm excited for it, but I'm nervous because I want The Rock to do well. I love The Rock, but I know that The Rock, as great as he is, and with as great as some of his movies have been, The Rock will put out some bombs. And so I want this to do well because, like you said, this movie's been in development for a minute. So yeah, I mean that one I'll probably see opening weekend just because I'm that excited for it. Avatar, I'll wait till it comes out streaming. I've waited too long for that movie. They're not getting my money. Aquaman, I'll wait. John Wick, I'll wait. Into the Spider-Verse, of course, yes, absolutely. That's the one movie on here that I will absolutely go to the movie theater on opening weekend. I hope that the delay, the pushback, or the release date doesn't affect the movie in a negative way. But that's a movie I'm definitely gonna watch. Mission Impossible, I will probably watch just because I'm a Mission Impossible freak. I love Tom Cruise as Mission Impossible. You know, that's the American James Bond right there. So yeah, that's a great list of movies that are coming out. A lot of them I will absolutely, all of them I'm gonna absolutely see. Some more than others, but yeah, I would say Into the Spider-Verse is the one I'm absolutely, that one I can't wait for.
Yeah, that one's a no-brainer, and it's a
Yeah.
two-parter. So I mean, one comes out in 2023, and the other one comes out in 2024. When I first say that, that sounds like a long time, but it's already May, and so
Right.
before I know it, it'll be freaking time.
Yeah, as long as they do it right, I'm not nervous about what's going to come out. I'm more interested in. I can't wait to see what I'm actually excited to see Spider-Man 2099, and see what what's his name, Miguel.
I can't remember his last name.
Hera, maybe.
I think it's
can't remember
Herrera,
either.
something like that.
But I can't wait to see what his character is going to be like. I think Oscar Isaac is playing him.
That dude does everything.
Yeah, so I'm excited. That's the one movie I'm super excited for, and that I have no doubts is going to be good.
Yeah, man, I agree, and I feel like when it comes to Black Adam, I'm going to go there. I'm going there to support The Rock, and I'm going there with no expectation because I don't know if it's going to be one of those movies where again we're sitting there going, okay, so where do we go from here? Right. But I do hope that Black Adam does well, and after Shazam 2 comes out, that we get like a Black Adam versus Shazam. I feel
that
like
would be cool.
I would love to see something like that. Now, I don't know how that tone wise, I don't know how that would look because Shazam is like got more of that PG-13 PG feel to it, where at least looking at Black Adam, it has more the little bit we have seen, it has more of that dark PG-13 rated R feel, right? So I don't know where they find common ground to make something like that work and still make Black Adam feel like Black Adam and Shazam feel like who he is, right?
So do you think that, like, because you mentioned, as far as fitting in, how do you envision that working out in the future? Like, do you see it just being Black Adam and Shazam universe? Do you see them putting in like Aquaman and Superman and all those other cats that we've we've had, with Wonder Woman. Where do you see that? Like, just speculate, I guess.
Yeah, sure.
Where you think it's gonna go after Black Adam?
Okay, so if I was saying with the movies we have currently left and us possibly rebooting this whole DC thing, I would use that Black Adam movie to start the new big bad,
Okay,
right? So we know who the big bad is, and he doesn't have to appear in everything. I don't know all of Black Adam's history, but I'm sure he's got a clique or something or a crew that he can put together. But then it brings a reason why we can try to redo Green Lantern and bring Sinestro and whichever Lantern that would fit, or even the core to an extent would fit, right? Um, then we can move it to the Aquaman universe, and it'll probably be Black Mantis, but however to make that work.
okay,
And Wonder Woman, the same thing. And then like Black Adam puts this crew together. And matter of fact, even if it's not a normal crew from the books, but just almost like your Sinister Six,
right,
and then we're kind of doing it backwards. So instead of uh the formation of the Justice League, we're doing the formation of this evil clique, and at the same time these heroes are coming together before it gets wild, right?
right,
Something in that effect. But I would, as strong as Black Adam is, he's a great reason to bring Superman back and give him whatever he needs. So in my way, I would do it that way. And I would separate some time of Thanos and Darkseid. I think that personally for me was too close, right? And for common superhero geeks was probably too close. Even though Darkseid didn't show up much in the DC universe, he's still almost like Thanos in feel and design, right? And so I think if you have them, you're like, wait, DC has Thanos? Is that Thanos or is that Dark? So I think there's a whole. I mean, DC has a whole massive rogue gallery that they seem to ignore that they could be
right.
using and bring it to the forefront. So I would like to see that personally. Get a better Lex Luthor in there. Or even eventually have Lex Luthor recruit Black Adam, Sinestro, and all these others. Bring the Legion of Doom back. Yeah, that's what I would go with it.
Yeah, it's interesting because in the Shazam movie, there, we did have our Superman cameo at the end,
Mm-hmm.
and so you've already got Superman in there. Do you kind of, if you're gonna bring in Black Adam and Shazam together for a duel or a fight, do you have Superman in there? And I want to say in the cameo, it wasn't the black suits Superman; it was still the normal Superman before everything happened.
Mm-hmm.
And so, how do you do it? There, like you said, do you introduce? I mean, I feel like there's a couple ways they can go because in the comics, for the I feel like Black Adam is kind of like Doctor Doom.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly Doctor Doom is a bad person, but he's a guy who fiercely defends and protects his country, much like Black Adam does. And there
Mm-hmm.
are instances where Doctor Doom is actually a good guy, and there are instances where Black Adam is also a good guy. So I can kind of see them going both routes. Like, do you have Black Adam and trying to get his own, Sinister Six-esque like team together, or do you have them, because we already know we're going to get Dr. Fate, Atom Smasher, and then
Oh
Hawkeye
yeah,
or
the Justice League
Hawkman.
Society.
Yeah,
Hawkman. Yeah.
yeah. So we already know we're getting them in there. Is he gonna be? Are they the ones that are trying to stop him in this movie? Are they going to recruit him in the end? Is he going to recruit them in the end? Are they going to find some united ground to team up? It's interesting to me, and the fact that Dr. Fate is in there.
Mm-hmm.
Do you bring in like the kind of Justice League Dark, where you have all the mysticism, characters come in there, whether it be Dr. Fate or Constantine or Black Adam and Shazam, and so and he introduced a different big bad, because like you said, DC's got a bevy of bad guys that they could choose from. It doesn't have to be this, like you said, Thanos-esque like character. I like Darkseid, but their DC's biggest failure was that they tried to do what Marvel did, and without giving a whole lot of context to it. And so I think there's opportunity for them to bring in a ton of things. And so, yeah, I'm excited. I have no idea where they're going to go with this whole.
That's why I want a
Adam.
trailer so bad, because I want to just see what are we looking at here,
Right?
right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And it might not give us much still, but it's one of those things where it's you almost go and ask yourself, why are we making this movie? And I don't want to say that, but it's the truth. Like, why are we making this movie? Or why did after 10 years of failure at that, right? Why are we now still making this movie? Yeah. And so they went and made it. So now that all this transition is taking place, this could be a great jumping on point. You might, matter of fact, skip the Justice League, do Justice League Society or whatever, and the JSA, and let them get started. Bring Booster Gold and Blue Beetle out, and let them do some stuff. Again, so many other characters, and then give us a reason to feel for these characters. Y'all do it with Batman all the time, Tom and Martha Wayne getting killed, you barely do it with Superman. You just go, well, y'all already know, so we don't need to go any further. Right. And then, have the same thing happen with Wonder Woman. Like, Wonder Woman's been great, but 1984 was horrible. And y'all need to go back to making us feel for who she is. That's the whole point of a lot of these characters, is that we feel for them. The hardest one to do that with has always been Thor, and because he's a god. But even after a while, they found their pocket in the third one. Like, they don't have to feel him on a human level, but the comedic value, the timing, the other characters that surround him make it perfect for Thor. So, we'll see what happens there. And Mike, I don't know if I asked you this. Are you going to the theater May 6th to see Doctor Strange?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know if I'll see it opening day. I'm still kind of, I don't want to be around a lot of people. So I will probably see it. If I see it, it's going to be a matinee on like a Sunday, for like lunch or something like that, where we can, drop off the baby with her grandparents, and then three of us roll out to a movie theater where I know we can get some space. So I do really want to see it, because there are so many trailers that have come out for this movie, and I have resisted.
And be careful, social media has been spoiling the hell out that movie.
Yeah, I put a media blackout on Doctor Strange.
Same here.
So I haven't, other than the trailer from the Super Bowl, I haven't seen anything else. I refuse to watch anything else.
Same here. Even when the commercial comes on television,
I don't want to see shit about it. So that is one movie I want to really watch. And I guess I probably should watch it the first weekend, because as much stuff is out now, after that first weekend, it's gonna explode. The internet's gonna blow up, quote unquote blow up. And so I'm probably gonna watch it. It'll probably just be on a day where I know there's not gonna be a whole lot of traffic.
Yeah, we're probably gonna try to go see it Saturday, but there's a theater. There's two theaters close to each other, and one of them theaters we get a lot of space. More of the elderly crowd goes there, or people with rambunctious children and stuff like that. And that'll probably be our place to go, because my youngest she doesn't like to stay seated often, unless it's animated, and that's fine. I'm not tripping. I'm in a place where people don't mind. So I hope to see it then, because same thing. I'm terrified the internet's going to destroy that movie. So one last tidbit I forgot to mention. I'm just going to mention it, and then we're going to move on to the next topic. Uh, they also announced at CinemaCon that there will be another the Batman movie, and
Yep.
that it is slated for, I think, 2024 as of that posting. So real quick, we're going to hit on this before we get to some unfortunate news. But it was reported also this week that the Fantastic Four has movie has lost its director. So this is according to TheVerge.com. Director John Watts' involvement in the he's also directed the Spider-Man movies from the past 4 years. And he was a part of Kevin Feige's announcement in 2019 that he would be doing the Fantastic Four movie. Well, now Deadline reports that John Watts has ambiguously walked away from the Fantastic Four movie out of an understandable desire to take a well-deserved break from making superhero movies. In a public statement, Kevin Feige expressed that working with Watts on the past 3 Spider-Man films was a joy, and that the studio would very much like to collaborate with him in the future. Mike, quick thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I can't blame him. I mean, he directed, all 3 Spider-Man movies. So I get it. If anybody's gonna have superhero fatigue, it's gonna be directors.
Yeah.
And he has a project that he's doing on HBO Max with George Clooney and I believe it was Brad Pitt. So I gotta look at this article again. Yeah, it is George Clooney and Brad Pitt. So he has no, it's not HBO, it's Apple Studios.
Okay.
So it looks like he wants to put more effort, more time into that. And I get it, because you don't want to, it's kind of like with actors, yes, if you're an A-list actor and you're doing Marvel movies, especially if you're doing a bunch of them, that's fine. You can always do other movies anytime you want to. But if you're somebody that's new in Hollywood and you're trying to break out, and Marvel was the way for you to break out, and now you have this typecast as being a superhero guy or superhero female, because you're doing all these movies, it might be hard for you to find help doing or get help doing other stuff, or doing other passion projects. And so I feel like that's the same way for directors too. Like, you don't just want to always be doing superhero movies. Do a superhero movie here and there, and then do something else. And then if you want to come back to doing superhero movies, then come back to do superhero movies. So I got no problem with it. I just hope that, and I'm pretty sure Kevin, this is the kind of respect and confidence that I have in the powers that be with Kevin and the Disney and Marvel people over there. I'm confident that they will find a replacement, and this movie will still be good. If this were DC, if it were, let's say they're coming out with another Justice League movie, and Scott Snyder's side is like, nah, I'm done. And it's like, oh, okay, so they need to find another director. Okay, well, I don't know if I'm going to watch this movie now, because DC and Warner Brothers track record with switching and this and that has just not been great. I mean, we've already seen it. Scott Snyder's a perfect example, because
You mean Zack Snyder?
Zack Snyder. Yeah, he dropped out initially because of family issues, and they brought in
Josh Weldon.
Yeah, they brought him in, and
Josh
granted,
Whedon,
he had just done Avengers, and he's very well versed in doing sci-fi movies. But they brought him in, and I don't know what happened there. There was issues with actors, with Ray Fisher, and then the movie just sucked. It bombed. It was terrible. And so I'm confident that Kevin Feige and the powers that be at Disney and Marvel will come up with a good substitute. So I'm not, and the movie's so far out. I'm not too. If this was like, yo, we got to reshoot 50% of the movie, okay, maybe then I'll get a little bit nervous. But it being this far out, I'm not too nervous about it.
Yeah, I'm in the same agreement as you. Plus, I remember when a movie was being filmed, Edgar Wright doing Ant-Man, they were still able to pivot and still make Ant-Man an incredible movie. Which it's weird not to have heard anything about Ant-Man recently. I can't wait to get another one of those.
Right.
But yeah, I understand that too. And Marvel requires a lot, man. Like, people don't realize that too. Like, if you have passion projects and all that stuff, it gets put on the back burner. That even though you make the fiduciary ends, sometimes there's some things you want to do. You might want to do a sci-fi thing. You might want to do a war piece. All those other things, but you don't get the opportunity to do them while you're working with Marvel or anything or any of their projects because, again, they require so much time. That's why they have a whole think tank and development team and all these other things. So, yeah, I wish the best for him. And like it says here, he did the last 3 Spider-Man movies. So I am curious if he's going to be doing the 4th one. But hey, hey, good luck to you in your career, Mr. Watts. I think you're a great director. All right. So now that we've gone through all of that, it's time to just mention some unfortunate news. So earlier this week, we lost one of the greats of the comic industry, Mr. Neal Adams, who has done some amazing things. He's influenced multiple generations with his style and co-created such characters as Ra's al Ghul, the Man-Bat, and one of DC's first Black superheroes, Green Lantern's John Stewart. He unfortunately passed away at the age of 80. So Adams died Thursday in New York of complications of sepsis. His wife, Marilyn Adams, told Hollywood Reporter. Adams jolted the world of comic books in the late 1960s and early 70s with his tone and sinewy take on heroes. First at DC with characters named Deadman, then at Marvel with the X-Men and the Avengers, then back to DC with his long-lasting influence on Batman. During his Batman run, Adams and writer Dennis O'Neil, also known as Denny O'Neil, brought a revolutionary change to the hero and the comics, delivering realism, kineticism, and a sense of menace in the storytelling in the wake of the campy Adam West starring 1960 ABC series and years of the hero being aimed at kiddie readers. He created new villains for the Rogue Gallery, the Man-Bat, Ra's al Ghul, as well as the latter's daughter, Talia, who became Batman's lover. The father and daughter, played by Liam Neeson and Marion Cotillard, were key characters in the trilogy of Batman movies. Let's see, some other things that I want to mention here is that Adams, with O'Neil, came up with the then controversial term for Green Lantern Green Arrow, which tackled social issues such as drug addiction, racism, and overpopulation, and introduced the Green Lantern hero, John Stewart, who became one of DC's first Black icons. Their 1971 two-part story, Snowbirds Don't Fly, remains an important milestone in comics evolution towards attracting mature readers. It was at this creative height in the mid-70s that Adams quit drawing for the Big Two and launched Continuity Studios, an artist studio that produced comics, commercial art, and storyboards, among other services. The comics division created indie comics such as Bucky O'Hare and Miss Mystic. And one of the last things I want to mention here about Mr. Adams is that in the late 1970s, when federal work-for-hire law was being enshrined, Marvel and then editor-in-chief Jim Shooter distributed contracts that stated freelancers could not assert copyright over their creations. As detailed in Reisman's 2021 Lee biography, True Believer, Adams sent around a copy of the contract, scrawling on top, "Do not sign the contract. You will be signing your life away." While it caused a ruckus and awareness, the effort didn't have its intended effect, as Marvel flexed its muscle and threatened anyone who tried to unionize with a drying up of the freelance well. Adams had more luck in taking on corporate overlords in 2 other areas. He helped change the practice of comic book publishers keeping the original art by artists or even shredding and tossing it, influencing companies to establish policies of returning the art, something that allowed artists to enjoy a second income stream. The biggest case in point, Marvel returned pages of art to Jack Kirby, the co-creator of Fantastic Four, Thor, X-Men, and the Hulk. He also proved to be the champion of 2 writer artist who laid the foundation of DC Superman, Jerry Siegel and Joel Schuster. When he learned of their plight, one inciting favor was hearing that they could not attend a Broadway musical featuring the Man of Steel. He led to lobbying effort that eventually led to greater recognition for the pair, a creator tag in comics and other media that continues this day, plus a pension. There's a lot more going on. I recommend that you go to the Hollywood Reporter and read the whole article on Neal Adams. I was very fortunate to sit down and talk to the man when I was at San Diego Comic Con. It wasn't for long because he was a very busy man. He was doing other things. But as someone who really came into the comic book world in the 90s, it was a few years before I understood his contribution to the comic book world. And then as I get older, what it meant for creator rights. And, think about that. Jack Kirby didn't even have his own pages, right? You know how much a Jack Kirby page goes for in 2022? And, Marvel or DC just holding on to those or shredding them. Think about the works of some of our best have been shredded, unfortunately, due to these practices. Or, even the people who created Superman not even getting their name put on the book,
Right.
which is insane. And then I remember, whether it was Bill Finger with Batman or, the two for Superman, their estate not even receiving any type of compensation, which just blows my mind, because we all know billions of dollars have been made. And the fact that you can't even give someone 5 million loses my, it just boggles the brain. But overall, I can't explain the contribution of Jonathan Stewart as Green Lantern, right? We even almost look at him as Green Lantern more than we do Hal Jordan. And I'm forever grateful for that. And the fact that, he wasn't a pimp. He wasn't some crazy, and don't get me wrong, I know that was the times, but still, it wasn't a stereotype of the character before he, donned or whatever, the suit that he became. So rest in peace, Mr. Adams. Mike, go on.
Yeah. Sad news, of course. You think about his contributions and to writers and artists alike, and getting that recognition, getting that money that they deserve. But for me, I think the biggest, because I've always been a huge Batman fan. His contribution, I'm not sure people really understand the Batman that and love today, whether it's through the movies or through the TV shows, like the animated shows, or like even Batman animated series, and through the comics. That Batman is due to Neal Adams, because before that, Batman was the Adam West version, and Batman wasn't serious, and Batman was goofy and all this. And it wasn't until Neal Adams came around that he changed the whole look of Batman, changed how Batman operated, and changed his rogues gallery to include more serious facets of life. And that's something that was amazing. You think of all the people that have written Batman, and there are a ton of them, and they've done a great job. All of them have followed his mold, and what he envisioned Batman to be. And then you think about John Stewart. They brought John Stewart in because Hal Jordan just wasn't selling anymore, because people were bored with Hal Jordan. And so they created this guy, John Stewart, who, initially was an architect, and then later got retconned into being a Vietnam vet. And I thought that was pretty cool because, like, Rachi mentioned before, sometimes when you get black characters introduced into comic books, especially around that time, there's a huge stereotype of what they should have looked like and what they should have been. And John Stewart was not one of that. And when they brought John Stewart in, it saved the Green Lanterns. It literally saved the Green Lanterns, because nobody was reading Green Lanterns at that time. It was just going down the tubes. And so they brought John Stewart in. They brought somebody that people could relate to, especially with the political climate back then. And like Rodney said, he became very popular. And even to this day is my preferred Green Lantern. I remember watching John Stewart in the animated Justice League TV shows, Justice League Unlimited, and thinking, man, this guy is awesome. And nowhere in that show did you have Hal Jordan. You had a bunch of other Green Lanterns in there like Kilowog, but you didn't have Hal Jordan in there. And so, and not to say that Hal Jordan is a bad character. Certainly, Jeff Johns. If it weren't for Jeff Johns, Hal Jordan would have never come back, or would have never been relevant. But thanks to Jeff Johns, he made Hal Jordan relevant again. But Neal Adams is the reason why Jeff Johns was able to continue the Green Lantern mythos and make it even more popular, because without John Stewart, I think DC stops publishing Green Lantern books. And so the amount, and not just on the DC side, but on the Marvel side as well, you always see these writers switch companies, and so he's made contributions on both ends, and his style of writing and how he develops characters. I think when you see certain writers with certain characters now, you think of like I just mentioned, Jeff Johns, Jason Aaron, some of these other cats that write really great characters. It's all really, I think, due to Neal Adams and the kind of risks that he took back then. He just didn't cater to what the company wanted. He wanted to put what he saw in real world into the comic books, and I think it worked. And I think that we have a lot to owe to this guy. His legacy is real, and it's going to be strong for decades and decades to come.
Yeah, absolutely. And the influence that he's provided is still the roadmap today. And it makes these creators, whether, the formation of Image Comics or, when it comes to like creator own rights and things of that nature, it makes people think, and it helped improve the industry overall, right? There's some things that still need work because, for example, we always hear the horror stories every time a Marvel movie comes out that the creator hasn't received any type of payment for that creation. But that's where, it's us to take on the fight and continue to make sure that these folks who put blood, sweat, and tears and sacrifice get the validation they require. And, just think about it. You create something that's timeless. And again, your name is not on it and you're not even being paid for it. You're living in squalor. Yet the company you see the toy in every Walmart, that would just crush me, So, but, we highly celebrate Neal Adams. Maybe we'll get to a point where we'll read some books and talk about some of the stuff, because I have the hardcover of his Green Lantern, Green Arrow run. And I always remember seeing that cover. Speedy is a junkie, Yep. And then he has the infamous cover of Superman versus Muhammad Ali, right? Which was pretty awesome as well. So, those are, exciting things that he's brought, and he, of course, other contributions, but we definitely thank you. So we want to say thanks again for joining us for another episode of the Nation80 podcast. Come check us out next week. Click subscribe, like the videos, tell your friends. I always feel weird promoting stuff, but I got to do it. I need to get paid off. No, play. I need to.
We need that money truck, y'all.
Yeah, I need to feed my kids.
College is expensive, y'all.
I'm gonna pull a Latrell Sprewell, even though I have a well-paying job. I'm gonna be like, man, this ain't enough to feed my kids. I need more. So either way, come check us out next week for the Nation80's comic podcast. Keep your already
comics podcast. Hey, in honor of Neal Adams, sure, we'll do comics podcast today.
Yeah, hey, I appreciate that. Yeah. So keep your imagination up. We'll see you on the next one.